So let's begin with a discussion on why is content marketing on LinkedIn important? Are you kidding me? Like, what's up with this question? LinkedIn is about content marketing. Anybody who thinks that LinkedIn is about a resume, well, you probably wouldn't be in this room if you thought that. So, but first, I want to talk with you a little bit, and I want to just focus on a brief getting to know you session here. That's why this slide is intentionally blank. Okay, quick survey. How many of you are in a B2B company only? Raise your hand. B2B only. Okay, good amount of you. B2C only. A few of you. How many of you are both? Hybrid, B2B and B2C. Yeah, I see a lot of that. Okay, all right, one more pop quiz. Raise your hand if you are. I expect to see 100% participation on this. All of you, well, not all of you, raise your hand if you are a full-time marketer. Your full-time job is marketing. Now, leave your hand up if you've ever been a salesperson, a professional full-time salesperson for at least 1 year. Leave your hand up. Okay, a few hands stayed up. Okay, fantastic. Vivica and myself. All right. The reason that I asked this question is because what we're really talking about here when it comes to LinkedIn and content marketing is about the individual. And the individual in any company is really struggling with reaching their buyer. Now, on LinkedIn, we don't sell on LinkedIn. We make connections, we build relationships, we build trust, we build credibility, we build our brands, our individual brands. But we're not selling on LinkedIn. But it's more and more difficult to even reach the people that we want to reach. Most of the people we want to reach will not take your phone call, won't even respond to your email. So what can we do about it? Well, what Vivica and I are going to talk with you about today are 3 specific strategies on LinkedIn, 3 content marketing strategies. Before we get to that, and I hand it over to Vivica to cover those 3, I want to talk to you about this first item here, content marketing versus content for sales. And you know, in hindsight, Viv, I don't know that it's versus content marketing or content marketing versus content for sales. But there is a distinction, and I want to cover that distinction with you. So what is the difference between content marketing and content for sales? Generally speaking, content marketing is out to accomplish the fundamental task of making a good, strong brand impression that's consistent and ultimately is going to drive a connection and a contact with people that you can drive closer to a purchasing decision. It is generally from the brand, and it's one to many. And it's about building that brand, and it's about building trust, and it's also about generating leads. But those leads are, in most cases, top of the funnel leads, marketing qualified leads, MQL leads. They're not leads that, in most cases, salespeople can use. Now, don't get me wrong, salespeople love content marketing because it builds brand and trust and credibility for their company, and when they're trying to reach their buyer, they need to have a good brand behind them. Now, let's contrast that with content for sales. Content for sales, contrasted to content for marketing, is one-to-one. It's a salesperson using content that's really effective content for them because it allows them to engage with their buyer, the individual that they're trying to reach. Now, let's talk a little bit about that, the challenge that the modern salesperson has. Here's what the modern buyer looks like. 94% of B2B buyers are going to consume multiple pieces of content from the vendor that they ultimately select, 94%. 75% of buyers are using social media to conduct research and connect with other people that they can get information on about the products and services that they are considering. And only 53% in 2017, only 53% of salespeople made their quota. And if you think that's bad news, I'll make it a little bit worse. It was 63% 5 years ago, and over the last 5 years, it's been on the decline. And as of 2017, only 53% of salespeople made their quota. So now let's connect the dots on this. If 94% of buyers are consuming content from the vendor that they're ultimately going to select, and 75% are on social media, and only 53% of salespeople are making quota, can we draw a pretty simple conclusion here? And that is that a lot of salespeople are not using content effectively, and they're not engaging in social channels, most notably LinkedIn from a B2B standpoint. And that is a contribution to salespeople not making their quota. So fundamentally, that is what we're here to discuss with you when we say, what's the difference between content marketing and content for sales? So let's put a little bit more meat on the bones here. As I said, content marketing is a wonderful thing for brand building. We're not talking about either or, we're talking about both. Content marketing, doing the things that you do today to build your brand and build top of the funnel leads, continue to do those things. And in content for sales, empowering salespeople to use content that you supply to them that they can use to engage in more sales conversations. Now, as I said earlier, we don't sell on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not a platform that we're actually selling on, at least we shouldn't be, and those that attempt to sell, in most cases, don't succeed. LinkedIn is where we can make our connections and then take those connections into offline conversations. In other words, any sales professional who's going to make their quota has to have sales conversations. Pretty logical, right? So content for sales is all about enabling salespeople to generate more sales conversations in an environment where we know that the buyer is going well more than halfway through their journey on their own. So, content marketers out there, keep building, keep producing, keep publishing these awesome content marketing assets. As long as you're measuring their results and they're getting good results, produce, publish them, collect feedback from sales, what is working, what isn't working. But also provide your sales organization with content assets that are vaulted. This is the one key point that if you get nothing else from this part of our session today on what is the difference between content marketing and content for sales. This is the one key point right here. Content for sales should include some element of vaulted content. Now, let me tell you what vaulted content is not. I'm not referring to gated content. I'm not referring to that form that you have on your website to download that awesome white paper that you have. Keep doing that. That's great. That's MQL. That's top of the funnel. I'm referring to delivering content on a private platform that requires a login by the sales team to gain access to this content. That's why we call it vaulted content, and feel free to use the hashtag vaulted content. Just make sure you source it to this session, Content Marketing World. So whatever the content assets are, I've listed a few examples here. The point is that these are sales assets that your sales team should have access to privately. And these are content assets that, by and large, should not be in the public domain. So even if, for example, it's a case study, it could be a different version of the case study. It could be a deeper dive where a salesperson says, let me send you this more detailed case study that goes into more information. It's more detailed than the one that you can download from our website. That gives a salesperson a great opportunity to start that sales conversation. They earn the right to have that sales conversation. So here's an example of what a content hub, content for sales, content hub could look like. So it's obviously going to require a platform, a technology platform. So whatever that platform is, whatever it looks like, is going to be unique to your scenario. But the point simply is that it is a content hub. It's login only, again, vaulted. And then once they get there, they can pick and choose the content that they want to use based on the sales conversation that they want to start or continue. Those of you that raise your hand that were in sales before, you've probably experienced someone who's gone dark on you, meaning you've had some sales conversation with them, and then they disappear, you can't reach them, they don't respond to your voicemails, emails, etc., and you're thinking about showing up on their doorstep because you have no other way to reach them. In most cases, that's not a practical reality. So having content that you know speaks to the business topics, the problems that you know they have, and having that content as a sales professional that's vaulted, it's not publicly available anywhere else, that gives me as a salesperson some advantage and some potential to get back into a conversation with that individual. So this is just one example of what one can look like. So I want you to consider a few things in the content for sales approach. You want to make sure that you're aligning the content with the buyer's journey, because the buyer goes through multiple phases in the journey. This is a simplification, an oversimplification of that journey, and you want to make sure that you're not giving salespeople one-size-fits-all kind of content. You want to give salespeople content that addresses the different personas that they're selling to and the different stages of the buyer's journey. And on this slide here, you see some examples, just hypothetical examples, more than hypothetical, just real-world examples of the types of content that you can deliver in the different stages of the buyer's journey. So I'm going to give you three quick use cases, and then I'm going to turn over to Viv to get into the three specific strategies that we want to cover here today. In this example here, I'm CMO at a company, but I also sell. Anybody in a C-suite that isn't selling, I want to have a conversation with them, because we all need to be selling. Even all of you in marketing, at some level, you need to be selling, even if it's your ideas. So when I'm engaging with someone, I'm doing exactly what I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I'm doing all of this. So here's an example of a person that I wanted to get back on the radar with. I want to make sure that I stay on her radar so I can continue the conversation. I sent her an example to a recent podcast, and she replied. So I just got her to reply. That's all I needed at that time. So this way I can pick my timing and ask for that next conversation. In this example, Bernadette McClellan, she created a video series, 12 videos, and Viv's going to go into a lot of detail on video on LinkedIn. And in her case, she created this whole set of video series and then posted them on LinkedIn, and look at all the views and likes and comments that she got. And like I said, we don't sell on LinkedIn, but she did create a lot of sales conversations and close business from it. And in this example here, our CEO, Mario Martinez Jr., we use a platform called OneMob. It's a video recording platform for social distribution. And so he recorded this video, and he sent it to people on LinkedIn through direct messaging, DMs. And he also uses it as an auto office reply. So you can see on the left the results that he got from LinkedIn, resulting in 216 executive level conversations. And on the right, you can see the response that he got through auto office. Now, if you want to test that, you can test that right now or anytime today, although I'd encourage you to do it now while you're thinking about it. If you email me, there's my email address, and just put in the subject line, CM World, just so I know, where it came from, because unless we know each other, I'm not going to know why you're emailing me, right? But if you put that in the subject line, you will get my out-of-office reply. And you'll see how I can use that content, not just in email, but also on LinkedIn. So with that as sort of setting the stage for the rest of our time together, I'm going to turn over to Viv, and she's going to begin the discussion on the three strategies, LinkedIn strategies, using content. Viv?
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I love that distinction. I thought I was a salesperson until I started working at Vengresso, and then someone succinctly pointed out to me, yeah, but your first book was LinkedIn Marketing an hour a day. And so that whole idea of aligning sales and marketing, I think, is so very important to us. And the further distinction of content marketing and then content for sales enablement. And how many people have made that distinction? I mean, I didn't until I started working with these guys. Right? It's a really important sales distinction. And so I want to talk about how to use some of the pretty cool features on LinkedIn in order to, yes, get your content out there, but to increase those conversations. Because in the end, that's what we're after, is to increase conversations with our prospects, whatever our prospect looks like. So on LinkedIn, there's updates, like a tweet, like a Facebook update. We all know that. And if I was a salesperson and I was going to go into my vault and I was going to find a good blog post, case study, video, article to share, I'd probably go, hey, check out this really cool case study about blah, blah, and it's awesome, and you should totally check on this and click on it right now. And how many people would actually click on that totally awesome link? Right? Not many people. So there's something, and I don't know if this is is Jason in the room? I thought I saw Jason earlier. Yeah, there he is. I don't know. Long form updates is not an official term that LinkedIn uses, is it? I am. Okay, cool. Whew. Okay, so we kind of dubbed these long form updates because they're the use of the update field, but you're using all 1,300 characters. So it's much, much longer use. And, you know, to Drew's point this morning, a lot of folks think, oh, well, goldfish, attention of a goldfish, short, succinct, get them quickly. But what we're finding out on LinkedIn, because it's actually the social media site for smart people, is that longer is sometimes better. And so using that full 1,300 characters is getting better responses. Now, Jason, plug your ears. We all know the analytics on LinkedIn are meh, and so a lot of the stats that I'm going to give you is just from what we've done at Vengresso and what our friends who are influencers in the industry have done. But generally, our longer form updates are getting 5 to 10 times more visibility than the, oh, check out this awesome article. So when you're using those full 1,300 characters, what do? Do you add an image or not? And I would say actually split test this. When we first started doing long form updates, rather, not articles, long form updates, we had the images, we didn't add the images, and actually the updates without images were doing better for a while. Now it's about evened out. So I would say test it yourself, whether you add an image or not to that long form update. But that's a little bit of a surprise because probably in every other session you've been in today, they've talked about the importance of visuals. I'm graphically challenged, so I actually like the fact that sometimes long form updates without visuals do better. But test it out. So it is interesting, though. It's about equal, coming down from no images was doing better for a while. And then, by all means, mention the people who are mentioned in the article itself. So if you're talking about a colleague or a client, with their permission, of course, feel free to tag them or mention them. But think about as well other people that you've been talking to, other clients that you've been talking to that might find this article, this white paper, this video interesting. And you can tag them as well. Don't do what people are doing on Facebook. Oh my gosh, this practice drives me nuts, where they'll tag like 50 people just to see the article, and it has nothing to do with who they are or what they do. But hey, if you were recently talking to a client or a prospect about a feature of your software or about a product or a service that you have, and your content happens to be about that very thing, by all means, tag them on it. So that's a few things that you want to do. The other thing is hashtags. Hashtags are a thing again on LinkedIn. They were, they weren't, they are, they aren't. They are! There's actually something called hashtag communities. Have you all seen hashtag communities? Yeah, they're on your homepage. They're kind of on the left-hand side. And I really like this. It's LinkedIn's way of gathering relevant content around a specific hashtag. Now, LinkedIn is in control of this right now, right? They decide what hashtags are going to be relevant, and you can go through the different hashtags and choose the ones that you want to be updated on. But what's cool is you can also use those relevant hashtags in your content, and there's a chance that then your content gets put into these different hashtag communities and seen by more people. So one of the things that I would recommend is take a look at the left-hand side of your homepage. Look at some of those hashtag communities. And it's kind of like KPI, right? Look and see what hashtags are getting some activity but maybe don't have 60 billion followers, because there's a better chance that if you use that particular hashtag, your article will be seen by more relevant people. If you already have an Instagram hashtag strategy or a Facebook hashtag strategy, you might consider implementing that on LinkedIn as well. But to my earlier Facebook point, I'm a big fan of like 5 to 10 hashtags, not 5,000, because let's face it, you're limited to 1,300 characters. Another thing, most times we're using updates to drive leads, right? To a website, to a webinar, to a landing page. And so naturally, we put the link to that article, website, landing page, etc. within the update itself. Now, what we have found with LinkedIn's algorithm, that might be a little bit more gated if you have the link within the update itself. So you have to think about, well, I want to drive traffic, but I want the visibility too. So think about why you're using that update. Is it just to build that brand, that content marketing brand, to build that top of mind awareness, to position yourself as an individual or your client as an individual within LinkedIn, or is it to drive traffic to a specific place? So again, do a little split testing, because you will get more visibility without the link in there, but if you put the link in comments below, which is something to consider, it might not drive as much traffic in the end. So you have to decide what is going to work better for you. And then emojis, using emojis and special characters also adds visual interest, of course. Just be aware, different browsers, mobile, online, it's going to show up a little bit differently. But those are just some of the different aspects of things you can do to these long-form updates. It's really simple. It's just an update. But putting these strategies into place will get you like 10x the visibility.